Welcome along to episode 804 of the Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. Coming up on the show this week, we'll be hearing from Naked Attractions' Anna Richardson as we talk about health in dating. Christopher Commander will be along to let us know about his production of A Christmas Carol at Two Midlands Theatre this festive season. Grant Harold will be along to make sure we are getting the right festive etiquette. A former butler to King Charles III will be talking us through getting the best out of our family get-togethers this Christmas. We'll be talking to Jack Haywood of Jack's Throwback Attack, all about his Rosie and Jim special. Showtime Community Productions let us know about their production of Cinderella, and we'll be hearing how to get the conversation started when it comes to kids and their mobile phone use, as Frankie Bridge from the Saturdays joins us with the help of Tesco Mobile. That's all on the way on the show this week.
Welcome to the Milk Bar. 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 Welcome to the Milk Bar.
Now, Christmas is on the way, and where would we be without Dickens' Christmas Carol? And what would it be if it wasn't Chris Commander doing his thing and bringing it to life? He's here with me now to tell you about the two different destinations you can go to if you fancy a bit of Christmas Carol with him. How you doing, sir?
I'm very well. Always a pleasure.
Always good to talk to you. And
Thanks, Dave.
I think Christmas Carol is something you've sort of taken to heart and have almost made your own, haven't you, really?
I can't claim it's mine. It certainly is Dickens.
It's out of
Uh,
copyright. You can have a go.
that's true. That is true. I mean, he has given me carte blanche to be able to do this, which is amazing. But yeah. I mean, I've been part of Christmas Carol has been part of my life every Christmas since 2009. I've been part of a performance in some capacity of Dickens's tale for that long now. So yeah.
And what is it you love about it?
I mean, what's to say that hasn't already been said about Christmas Carol? But personally, it has all the themes that make Christmas what it is. I mean, we view Christmas differently. We view Christmas through the eyes of Dickens,
Mhm.
even to this day. So he shaped how we see the festive season, and ultimately, through that story, taught us to keep that season of giving and festive cheer, not just at Christmas, but all throughout the year. And so it has universal themes that connect with me on a personal level. There are bits in the book that are heart-wrenching and beautiful. And I don't know, I think it's hard to quantify because it's so all-encompassing that you can see yourself in Scrooge, you can see yourself in Fred, you can see yourself in every single one of those characters.
Mhm.
And that makes it why I love it so much because we see ourselves in it.
And we can see today in there as well. I mean, it may be set in Victorian
Sure.
times, but we are still see not only a UK but a global society where there are those who have less but still make the most of what they have. And the fact that it takes sometimes those with more to be able to spread a bit of joy and realize actually this can be a great place to be.
What a wonderful lesson to be taught every year and to the future.
Absolutely. So tell us about your performances and how they work.
So, my adaptation is a one-man performance of Dickens' classic tale. Uh, it is an adaptation that I have taken on over the past few years that condenses the book into an hour-long performance. There's no interval. Um, One of my guiding principles in this was never to use anything that Dickens didn't use in the book. So none of the language is anything that you won't find that isn't in the book. It is all directly from the original text and inspiration from his reading text, because about 10 years after the production, after the publication of the first book, um, he went on to do another version of Christmas Carol that he took on tour, and that script is available to read online, so you can find how his readings, what he thought was important for the time that he was reading it, and he rewrote a few things specifically for his readings, so there are some surprises in my production which are directly from his readings, which he would do throughout the country.
So true to Dickens' work in a way which will startle some people. And I think you've got a look which helps you tell that tale too. When you're all dressed up in your Victorian garb, you really fit the part.
Thank you. I have often been called a Victorian urchin, so it all fits the bill.
So where are you performing it this year? Because I know it moves around. You share this with many people each season.
It does. So the public performances that you at home can come see, there are two venues with 4 dates that you can come see. The dates are the 17th, the 20th, the 21st, and the 23rd of December. The 17th and the 23rd are in Sutton Coldfield at the Sutton Arts Theatre. And the other two, the 20th and 21st, are in Coventry at St Mary's Guildhall, where I am in front of the beautiful old tapestry upstairs in the hall, which is gorgeous. And all the shows start at 7:30, so you don't have to worry about going to different times for different places. And if you want to view those tickets, you can go to my link tree where I have all of the tickets, all of the dates in order, rather than have to search for different places and figure out when you're going, what's happening, all of that jazz. So my link tree / Christopher Commander, you will find all of the dates and where to buy tickets.
And with this on the way, obviously you're going to be making Christmas special for many people and bringing it to life. And this is as close to you going to get as to Dickens doing a reading, isn't it? This is, but just a bit more theatrical too.
I would hope so, yes. There are some surprises that it's not just me on stage, like reading the book. I have tried to put in as much theatre as I possibly can. So there'll be some lighting and all sorts of stuff, and possibly some extra surprises, which I'm still working out the kinks, and some stuff that I really want to put in. So hopefully, also going forward in the future, I always slightly rewrite the play, so it will always be different. If you come see me next year, if you came and saw me last year, this will be a slightly different production as well, because I like to rewrite it based on what's happening in the world. So if there are certain themes that I think are more important this year, they will be more evident in this adaptation. I know I've sort of made it slightly harder on myself to rewrite it every year, but I think it's important because those themes are universal, and since I only have you for an hour, the story that I want to tell about where we are in the world right now, I think it's important to hit those themes.
But based around, say, that Dickens original and the two versions of it we have, so you'll be just pulling bits and pieces. And I mean, do we know how long it took Dickens when he was doing his readings to tell the whole tale?
We do actually, and interestingly enough, the St Mary's Guildhall productions that I'm doing are very close to where Dickens came originally to do a reading in Coventry. He came to a place called the Cornhill Exchange, and you can go see one of his original posters. He did it in 1857, and they loved him so much that they invited him back the next year for a gala event for him, and they gave him a gold repeater pocket watch, which was engraved from them, and he kept it till his dying day, and he passed it, I think, to one of his publishers. So he must have loved his time. But on the poster, which ironically I have a photocopy of. There it is.
There he goes, in glorious red and black. Coventry introduced Mr. Charles Dickens.
But as you can see, I don't know if you can see, the reading will commence at 8 o'clock and last 2 hours. So that was 2 hours of Dickens reading his tale, or his reading script version of the tale. And it's fascinating. If you want to look more into the history of what Christmas Carol meant at the time, especially in the later half of the 1800s, read his reading script, because it's surprisingly different. There's a lot more comedy in it. and it's interesting to see what he's kept and what he hasn't kept. And therefore, if you come see my show, you'll see what I've kept. And I don't want to stray too far away from the fact that it is a ghost story of Christmas. So you will be haunted by three spirits. That is no surprise. But yeah, I love it so much, and I want to share it with everyone because it's perfect. It is perfect.
As you said, Christmas traditions are basically stemming from the Victorian ones, apart from the number of text messages and memes that get sent around the festivities. They didn't quite do that, but they had similar things. But this is going to be a true Victorian ghost story in Dickens' words, in your style.
Yes. And if you want to go the long way around of getting tickets, you can go on the Sutton Arts Theatre website and book tickets through them, which you will inevitably be sent to through my link. But if you wanted all of the links, you can also go onto the St Mary's Guildhall website to find the tickets through their Christmas event calendar. But truly the easiest way to find those tickets is to go to Linktree. Actually, it's spelled linktr.ee/Christopher Commander, and you will find the ticket links themselves rather than have to dive through all of the website. They go directly to the tickets, and you can book your tickets through there.
And you will have an amazing time. I can guarantee that this man's work is absolutely always amazing. Christopher Commander, a pleasure to speak to you as ever. Have a brilliant Christmas and enjoy sharing a bit of ghostly Christmas Victorian Dickensian style magic with the world.
And you, Merry Christmas.
Now it is time to talk, a new initiative helping to get parents who struggle to start conversations with their kids around online safety. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Dr. Martha Deros Collado, child psychologist, and also by Frankie Bridge, singer and celebrity mum. How are we all doing?
Good. You?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, all good here. Right, I'm going to start with you, Frankie. Now you've got the records from your time in the Saturdays behind you, and as a mum now, obviously your kids will be interested in finding out about your antics online. But I mean, when you started out in Ash Club Juniors, I mean, you were of an age that your kids are pretty much probably at the moment, and the internet was there when you were that age. So I mean, what was it like being exposed to that for you and the conversations you had around that time?
You know what? I didn't feel exposed to it at all. I suppose we didn't have like the phones. We didn't have smartphones then. Like in S Club Juniors, I wasn't able to just like walk around and like Google myself. I don't think it was really a thing. So I feel really lucky that part of my upbringing and my career from such a young age, I had no idea what anyone thought of me, what I looked like, what our songs were like, and I feel really lucky to have had that. And like you said, my kids, my eldest is 11, I was 12 when I started. It would be a completely different ball game for them now, and I feel like it just wouldn't be the same.
And obviously, these sort of things have become more of a problem, as you say, over the years. And Marta, with the way in which the kids have embraced this technology, actually, they're very often much more up on it, even than the likes of Frankie, who has grown up with this around in most of her life. So how do we start to be able to talk to them about what they're doing online, and of course raise any concerns about the sort of things they're seeing?
I think it's really important to begin just with showing lots of interest about what children are doing online. What do they enjoy? What are their friends up to? And being curious about it. Also remembering that this isn't an interrogation, it should be a conversation. So joining in that as well, because lots of adults spend a lot of time online as well. And I think it's really helpful for kids to see that being normalized. Like, I think adults struggle setting boundaries on their phones. So talking about that, talking about, I spend a bit too much time on my phone sometimes, and I do it when I'm bored. Do you do that sometimes? Let's open up these conversations and try and build better habits, healthier habits than the ones that we've developed, and build in things like digital resiliency and safety around the times when our kids are going online, and build that kind of open space so that they can come and talk to us when there are challenges or they've seen something that's caused them distress.
Mm-hmm. And Frankie, I mean, as adults, we we'll gloss over stuff if we spot something which we don't agree with. I mean, there's been an awful lot not to agree with in the recent presidential elections in the US. There are things that we can just skip past and block for ourselves, whether it be mentally or actually on our devices. How do you find that works with your concerns around safety for your kids' internet use?
I have like all the parental controls that I can have on all of my kids' devices and stuff. So that's one thing. And secondly, I do look at their devices all the time. I'm busy like everyone else. I'm working, I've got the kids, I'm trying to do a million things at once. And, am I on top of it at all times? No. But do I try my hardest? Yes. And like we're saying, we need to have those conversations. So if they have come across something that they don't like or that they've got questions about, they can come to me about it. I try my hardest to set up that kind of thing with them where they just kind of are open to it and they tell me the truth. But, that's not always the case. So starting these conversations ourselves and like Dr. Marta says, like showing interest in it. So what have you been looking at today? What have you seen today? Is really the only way that we can properly see what they're seeing. And yeah, unfortunately, there's going to be stuff on there that we don't love. But if they can tell us about it, then at least it's a conversation to be had.
Yeah, so start off, raise those concerns, and responsible operators like Tesco Mobile, who've done the research here, you can actually block content at the source, can't you, and not allow it to download the device. And Marta, this is going to be the sort of things that you need to get set up and you need to understand.
Absolutely. And Tesco Mobile partnered with Internet Matters, and they have such useful resources for parents and really empowering toolkits. And also, if you look online at Tesco Mobile, there's loads of information there on how to have these conversations with your kids, how to educate yourself as a parent, as an adult about these safety measures. And I think it's really important. Like so many of us are online, using tech every day for all sorts of things, whether it's social media or booking your children's like lunch menu or whatever it is. Like we're constantly online. But often we've missed that bit of how do we stay safe, like ourselves, and even in conversation with others, like how do we teach our children to be respectful with others? How do we learn like good digital citizenship online, not just in real life? Because that's really important. So I think there are places where you can learn a lot more as an adult, and it's important that we all begin to do that now rather than wait for a few years when there is a problem. Do it now, feel empowered and confident to start the conversations and to build some skills for you so that you can then start to teach them to your kid too.
And it's also about them not becoming the problem too. I mean, in the conversation starters, you got things like, asking the adults on the table 2 questions about the way they use their phones so they understand what's going on. So if you're a keyboard warrior, you could be bringing up a kid who's a keyboard warrior as well. And that, what you're saying may not be justified. And if it's not right to say it to someone's face, then it's not right to say online. And all these things matter.
Yes.
And again, whether it be in the Saturdays or your other work, Frankie, I mean, you've seen the negative side of this, or people have at least tried to protect you from the negative side of this over the years.
Yeah, it can be really difficult. And I think like even now, I'm 35 and we're expecting like our young children to understand it and be able to rationalize it. And that's part of the problem, I suppose. But even like, I find it hard. Like 9 times out of 10, I can look at a comment and think, okay, that's more about them than it is about me. Like I wouldn't walk past someone and pass judgment on them. I might to my friends, but I wouldn't to someone's face. And I find it weird that online people, that line is blurred. They feel like they can say what they want and they don't care if you see it. And I think we need to be more aware of that. And that is something that I really try and talk to my kids about, is that, whether someone says something horrible about someone online or in a message, like you should kind of try and stick up for them or let me know about it. But also don't be a part of the problem. Don't say anything on there that you wouldn't say to anyone in person. So I think that's one of the biggest things for me, because people just tend to think that you're not a real human online, and that's just not true.
Yeah, remember the group of people you're talking to, and if it's online, it's the same as shouting in a pub. It is not a private place. So do think about what we're saying. So where can we go for more information on the campaign that Tesco's are running here?
Tesco Mobile Online Safety, or you can go into one of the cafes.
So these are popping up in store around the UK?
Yes, in the cafes. The conversation starters are on the table. So while you're eating, you can pick a couple of questions and just chit chat, see what happens. And there's also a little QR code on the table that you can scan, and it will take you online and give you all the information.
So make sure when we are surfing, we're doing it safely. Get the kids involved in the conversation and follow those rules ourselves as well, so we can have a good time on the internet without any problems. Well, for now, Dr. Marta Diaz Collado and also Frankie Bridge, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now, Jack Haywood has Jack's Throwback Attack. That's his YouTube channel. He loves having a chat with a few celebrities. The names this guy gets are absolutely amazing. He's here with me now to tell me about him going out and about too. How are you, sir?
Not too bad, thank you. Yourself?
I'm getting by now. God, I've known you for absolute donkey's years, and you've always had an interest in things, particularly kids' TV, but retro.
Yep.
And that bears out with the shows that you do on WCR. But you've treated yourself to something special for your latest special, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I decided to do a video where I visit filming locations for a particular kids' TV show that those of a certain age will remember and love. That show being Rosie and Jim.
Now, obviously, the Midlands featured heavily here. The canal network we have around here, it's alleged there was more canals in Birmingham than Venice. I'm not sure whether that's true or not. But certainly they got much better orange chips in Birmingham and around the Black Country. And you can probably get a fantastic other meal or two out when you're out and about on the canal. So was this part of it? Did you just go out to trawl the food establishments around the Midlands and do a bit of footage at the same time?
I do remember going for chips one of the days, actually.
That had to be chips.
Yeah, when I was down Stourbridge. Yeah, it's very true. We do have a lot of canals and we do have very good chips. That is true.
But so fabulous filming locations for Rosie and Jim, and I'm just a little bit older than you, so I saw my sister, who's younger than me, watching Rosie and Jim. For you, were they your heroes as a kid?
Definitely, I loved the show. It was a great show, very iconic. Ran for a very long time, and it was made by a production company called Ragdoll, who were based in the Midlands. And yeah, very Midlands-based show. Featured two puppets, ragdolls, that lived on a canal.
You mean they
boat.
weren't real?
No.
Okay.
Sorry to say. Two ragdoll puppets, and there's a guy who drives the boat who doesn't know that they can come to life. The boat itself was built in a boatyard near Stourbridge, and yeah, in the early days of the series, they did film quite heavily around Birmingham and the Black Country, so I thought, well, why don't I try and find some of these locations and do a video about it?
So there you were, with your copy of Rosie and Jim on DVD, no doubt, taking stills and trying to work out where these little bits of waterway were.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's often fan sites dedicated to this sort of stuff. Was there anything to help you already, or were you on your own for this one?
A bit of help. A lot of it was my own knowledge, bit of internet research. So, for instance, there was one that was filmed at the Merry Hill Shopping Centre. Well, I go there quite regularly, so I know that was there. But there were a couple that were tricky. One of them was a hairdresser's, which is long gone in Birmingham. And it was literally me looking at what you could see out of the window. And I could see a car park and partially the logo to Toys R Us, which gave me the idea that it had to be Dale End, and that gave me a clue. And sometimes I'd ask around on Facebook, you know, because some of the locations have changed since then.
Well, yeah, I mean, Birmingham's been reformed in some places,
Yeah.
particularly around the canal.
It's really difficult with Birmingham. A lot of the locations have changed very heavily since then. The canal's not so much. I mean, the very first episode was filmed at the Delph Locks in Briley Hill, and that looks exactly the same as it did back then, so that was an easy one to do. But some of them were tricky to find.
So when did the show actually run from and to?
So it started in 1990, and the last series was in 2000.
And that in itself is quite a long span for some kids' shows. Some of them come and go quite quickly. I know there's some that hang around for 30 years. You probably love Grange Hill as well, knowing you. But you know, there's some magic to it when it is two puppets coming to life in a magical way, and the stories they got to tell, and the fact that it was, you know, linked to the area you lived in. Does that what drew you in even more?
Definitely, yeah, it's definitely got that very heavy local connection. Like I say, a lot of the early shows were filmed very locally to around here. They did branch out later on, but that was definitely the magic for it for me, and recognising some of those locations. Or sometimes I'd be watching it with my mum back when I was a kid, and she'd go, "Oh, I know where that is," and stuff like that, yeah.
Does that mean there are favourite episodes as well?
Favorite episodes? Yeah, I mean, in terms of the ones that I cover in the video, I mean, I could probably name several across the 10 years, but in terms of the one featured in the video, it would definitely be the Merry Hill one, because that was filmed at the old Sainsbury's supermarket that used to be there. It's gone now, but I do remember that being there, and every time I'd visit that supermarket, I'd always be thinking, oh, Rosie and Jim were here, and trying to work out where about the shots were when I'd be going around there as a child.
So you wander around with your toy camera taking pictures to see if you can spot where they were?
Not quite.
Come on.
This project kind of come to me about 4 or 5 years ago, so it has taken me a while to actually do it. And it was about a year of actually working on it, but the idea came to me probably about 5 years ago.
And this all ties in with the fantastic stuff that you talk to, the amazing guests you have on there. I mean, there's a fair few episodes up there now. How do people track down the older stuff as well as this latest output?
Yeah, if people want to find what I do online, I do have podcasts where I interview various puppeteers, actors, voiceover artists, and other content. YouTube, Jack's Throwback Attack, also on Instagram, got a Facebook page, and also a blog page as well.
So check out all those details there. But I think important questions are, I mean, when it comes to actually meeting your heroes, I know you had a wonderful chat with Richard Cadell recently, and that features in an hour-long special. You didn't actually get to physically meet him, no, it was only online, but did you get to meet Sooty over Zoom? Have you met Sooty in the past?
Yes, actually. Well, I have met Richard Cadell in person. That was at an event in Nottingham earlier this year, and that's how I was able to ask and say, would you be on the podcast? But yeah, so both in person and on Zoom.
And have you met Rosie and Jim?
No, but I am in contact with the two puppeteers that did perform Rosie and Jim. So that would be Rebecca Nagan and Robin Stevens. Robin actually lives in America now, so he's quite out the way, and I think Rebecca lives somewhere down Dorset. But both lovely people, both have been on my podcast, both have sent messages to say how much they love the video, so that's great.
And it would be nice, actually, if you could ever meet Rosie and Jim. Do we know where the original puppets are? Do they still exist?
Do you know what? I'm not sure at all. I've no idea.
More research follows then.
Quite possibly, yes.
So, I mean, loads of projects you've already done. More in the pipeline, I'm absolutely sure. But it's a case of keep checking back to find out what's coming next.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So your Facebook page is the best place to do that, I'm going to guess, because that's where you'll tease, isn't it?
Yeah, Facebook, definitely. Facebook page, yeah.
And when it comes to merch and stuff, I mean, is that something you collect from these shows as well? I note the Rosie and Jim badge there.
I do have a few bits. I will admit that I try and not have too much clutter, but I do have a few bits that I've saved since I was a child. Don't really buy things these days, though, unless it's something really rare and special.
And then, before you know it, it's part of the collection, framed on the wall.
Yes.
And are there Jack's Throwback Attack T-shirts? Is that are your fans looking for key rings too?
No, I've not done that. No, it's not something I'm looking to do.
Right, get in touch. Tell him he needs to do that. That'd be absolutely fantastic. He'd love to, really. He'll do autographs as well. So Jack's Throwback Attack is what you're looking for, and you can check those details out online. Watch the episodes. But as I say, at the moment, it is that big one, heading around the Midlands and exploring the amazing canal network with the Rosie and Jim in mind.
Yeah,
have a brilliant time with it, mate, and enjoy. And we look forward to your next escapade.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, taking a little break from wandering around the festive gift fair, because today is World Diabetes Day, somebody's going to help us explore the sort of stigma and avoid it when it comes to such things. It's Anna Richardson, who joins me now. Hello.
Hello, Jason. How are you?
I'm very well. I hope we find you well.
I'm very well. I'm very excited about your festive gift fair. I've got to tell you, I'd rather be there than in my front room. That looks fabulous.
I've got singers just to the right of me, and it's all looking good. But, I mean, when it comes down to health, I mean, you're a health advocate, and you're used to helping people sort of expose their inner concerns when it comes to your show, Naked Attraction. But when it comes down to our health and what's on the inside, type 2 diabetes and obviously type 1 too, is something which often carries a stigma, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting, this. It does carry a stigma, and I have type 2 diabetes within my family, on both sides of my family, and I am also pre-diabetic. So this is something that's very close to my heart. But the UK health tech company Abbott have discovered that people who are living with underlying health conditions, hidden health conditions like type 2 diabetes, are experiencing stigma and prejudice in real life, in everyday life, particularly when it comes to dating, which is quite extraordinary. So they conducted a dating experiment to see whether these prejudices stood up, and indeed they do. They realised that 32% of Brits view people with health conditions as less attractive. And staggeringly, this is incredible, 26% of men were less likely to find a woman desirable if she admitted on her dating profile that she was type 2 diabetic, which is really quite extraordinary. So, yeah, people with underlying health conditions are viewed as less attractive.
And that is a concern because obviously people are just people. Now, yeah, whilst there's diabetes in my family too, both my late parents had type 2 diabetes. I'm being checked to ensure it doesn't happen to me. I'm at the top end of where I should be at the moment. So I'm being reminded that I have 8 stone I should be losing. But it doesn't tell, you can't tell when I'm sitting down. But it's obviously it is a concern, and with other conditions. I mean, I have ulcerative colitis, and I wouldn't think to mention that in a dating profile. So it is odd the way people react to the sort of diseases people have.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, isn't it? It's something we all need to be aware of, really. I think there's a lack of education when it comes to particularly conditions like type 2 diabetes, that I think people tend to think of it as just a lifestyle issue and a lifestyle choice, that perhaps you've been eating badly, you've been drinking too much, maybe you're carrying a bit too much weight, and therefore it's your fault. And that is not necessarily the case at all. And type 2 diabetes can be very easily managed as well. So I think there's this idea that if you're going to date somebody that's got an underlying health condition, whether it's diabetes or in your case, actually, ulcerative, if I even say it, ulcerative colitis,
Mm-hmm.
then potentially people are going to be worried that, well, do I need to manage you as well as your condition? What are you doing to contribute to these issues? Is it just going to be more of a burden for me? And that's actually really incorrect. As you pointed out, we are more than our condition. We are complete people.
And I think and particularly with the way in which medical advances take place, and the what we can do to sort of keep these things under control. There is an opportunity there actually for it to just be part of it. And who knows? I mean, somebody's partner might end up with a completely different, unrelated, unexpected issue. That's part of life's tapestry. You never know what's going to come next.
That's a really, really good point, actually. You don't know what's going to happen to you, do you? So, and often, these conditions are hidden. They're not visible. So I think what we're doing really with this campaign is just highlighting the stigma, highlighting the fact that this is happening to a lot of people, to challenge that behaviour and to say that, look, we are more than our health conditions. We're complete people, and that everybody deserves to be respected.
And I know a lot of this is what you talk about on your podcasts, and of course the brilliant work you do taking away stigma when you're dealing with people on TV. And it is difficult for some, and it can cause mental health issues, which then add on to the physical health issues that people have.
Of course it can. I mean, just put yourself, well, actually, you will be able to put yourself in these shoes because you've got diabetes in your family, you've got the colitis issue. Imagine if you were going on a date and then you discovered that actually somebody had rejected you solely on the fact that they found out that you, for example, might be pre-diabetic or on your way to type 2 diabetes. That would sting, that would hurt, and that is really going to dent somebody's confidence, which is why we're absolutely calling out this behaviour and saying, this isn't okay, this is unacceptable. We all have issues in life, and, we should not be judged on the fact that somebody might have some kind of hidden health condition that's perfectly well managed, but that somebody else might feel is a problem.
Keep your prejudices to one side, work out what the good points on people. And, if you don't like their taste in clothes, I mean, that's acceptable to reject them for. If you, unless of course you're a naked attraction, in which case the clothes don't come into it. But if you are, looking for love, get the whole picture and understand somebody first. And it might make you a better person too.
Do you know what? You're right. Get the whole picture inside and out. You're right. It makes you a complete person. It makes you a nicer, kinder person. And we need more of that in this world.
So where can we go for more information on this report and how we can ease back on these stigma and stereotypes?
Well, it's been a fascinating campaign, a fascinating report. So if you want to know more about hidden health conditions, particularly when it comes to type 2 diabetes, then you can head over to the Abbott UK website. and have a look at the Let's Change Perspective section.
So give it a check out on there. And of course, we can find you online with all your podcasts and everything, and just look out on Channel 4's website to see Naked Attraction too.
Keep watching, Jason.
It's always a treat, a shock, and sometimes a general surprise. But always raises a smile when we see them find love the way they
We
find
look
love.
forward to receiving you on the celebrity version.
Yeah, I think that's not going to happen. I would say I'd do it at the same time as you did it, but then again, you are mad enough to do that sort of stuff sometimes. But there you go.
Remember, you've got to love the person inside and out. I'll see you in studio.
Anna Richardson, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jason.
The 15th through to the 18th of January once again sees Wednesbury Town Hall taken over by Showtime Community Productions. They are bringing Cinderella to the stage, and 4 of their number tell me now all about how those magical coaches are going to bring Cinderella to the ball. Hello, gang.
Hello. Hello. Hi.
Right, so first of all, Matthew, come on, tell us a bit about what's going on here, sir, and introduce me to your colleagues.
Yeah, so this year it's our 4th pantomime. We're doing Cinderella this year, the most magical pantomime of all. We've got many things in store. Hopefully going to have a carriage to bring Cinderella to the ball. Hopefully, if the fairies on there can magic that up for us. At Wednesbury Town Hall, we're known as the biggest pantomime in Stanwell, which is a really nice title to hold. So yeah, this year I'm playing Buttons. Really nice, fun comic role to play. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, you end up with a life of unrequited love. Whatever happens, that's always how it works out for you in pantomime.
Yes, it does. Always play the comic role. So looking forward to taking on Buttons this year.
Okay, so tell us about the rest of the gang. Who have we got?
Well, I'm Terry Fitzgerald. I'm the vice chair of the production. And again this year for the second time for me. I stepped in last year and I've had to step in again this year. I'm playing Baron obviously Cinderella's father, which I am actually her father in real life. So, you know, another role for me. Obviously, we've been going since 2019. And I started off in the background doing sets and stage building to support Jenna, and then I've ended up where I am today. So it's because we're getting bigger and bigger every year. The props and the sets are getting bigger and bigger. The backdrops got bigger. All the scenery's got bigger. So obviously it's a lot of hard work in the background. Plus, you know, and all the team mucking from, you know, Harry right the way up to some of our members who are in their 70s who support us and make all our costumes. So it is hard work, but it pays off for the public.
Absolutely. I loved last year's show, and brilliant job then. So looking forward to seeing what you get up to this year. And you mentioned Harry, so should we talk to him next? Harry, what are you doing in the show?
I'm a number of roles, and I'm in the chorus, and I'm Sir Timothy at the ball.
You're also playing Mary, aren't you?
Yeah.
Harry's been with
Impressive
us
stuff.
from day one. Harry's grown up with the production since 2019, so he's an old at it now.
One of the longest standing members, and still one of the shortest members as well, due to his age.
That's right,
But
yeah.
that's all good. And we've got someone on the end who I suspect may be related to you.
That's right.
Cinderella, how you doing?
Hi, I'm Jenna. I'm playing Cinderella, and I've been with Showtime now for about 4 years. Same time as Harry. Me and Harry joined together, and then my dad has become a part of it.
So, and what's it like being Cinderella? Because obviously you go from rags to riches. I don't think that's spoilers. I think we all know that. So it's going to be a good show for you.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I feel a bit under pressure because it's like a new role and everything, but it's going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to playing Cinderella.
Well, it's going to be a good show. As you already said, biggest panto in Sandwell. Well worth getting yourself along to see. And how many are involved in the cast this year? Because you had people just kept turning up last year. It was amazing.
So we've got 9 adult casts involved this year, and we've got 8 junior members involved as well. So yes,
it's all about the music as well, isn't it? Because that works so well in the panto.
Yes, definitely. We've got some really good songs in it this year. Some which people will know, and some which might be new to some audience members. Very sort of try and integrate the songs into the local area as well. So you might see some of that as well. This year we're also doing a Makaton song, which we did in Whittington in 2022, went really well down with audience members, especially those who communicate that way. So we've added that in again to make our pantomime sort of accessible to more people as well, alongside the other work we do in the community as well, by doing community performances in the summer at Brunswick Park. And we also did a free school performance last year for schools around Samwell, which went down really, really well. So we're hoping to repeat that this year as well.
Only 2 this year, because it was that popular. We've got 2 school performances during the day and then straight back on in the evening.
And we offer that free of charge to the schools in the local area to allow those who may not have the opportunity to see a live theatre show that opportunity.
Well, it is good fun. Obviously, the sets, the acting, the songs all came together beautifully last year. I'm sure that will happen again for Cinderella this year. So, for everybody who's already had their appetite whetted to come along and see how the magic happens and how you turn a pumpkin into a coach on stage in Wednesbury, we'll see. It could happen. There's a fairy out there to make that difference. So, how do we get tickets? What do people do?
So we're selling tickets again on Ticket Source this year. So it's www.ticketsource.co.uk/Showtime Wednesbury. Tickets are selling really fast, especially for the Saturday matinee. So if you are looking for tickets, get in there pretty quick.
Okay, 15th through to the 18th of January, it is Wednesbury Town Hall. It's Cinderella from Showtime Community Productions. You can find them on Facebook as well. And you can see loads of great production shots and all the fun that comes together to bring the Panto to life. But all of you, thank you for joining us. Break a leg, have a brilliant time with Panto, an awesome Christmas, and we look forward to everyone seeing you on stage in the new year.
Thank you.
Okay, see you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Now it's almost time to hide the ornaments, put away anything expensive, and make sure our homes are guest ready for the festive season. Obviously, we can't necessarily insure against somebody turning up that we don't like, but we can keep ourselves safe from damage done by visiting guests. To tell us more about our festive etiquette, I'm joined now by former royal butler to King Charles III, British etiquette expert, Grant Harold. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So when it comes down to the festive period, people can overstay their welcome, can't they?
They can. So what's interesting is Admiral have done a bit of research into around the Christmas festive period about how the kind of correct way to kind of entertain and how to host Christmas with charm while keeping your sanity. And from the research they've done, over half of those that took part said that a good guest should not overstay their welcome. And this is something I've always argued. I've always said that as a guest, when you go to someone's home, you've got to be very mindful that there is a cut-off period. And at Christmas, it's not just about the meals, it's also that you go and stay with people and you're in people's homes. And you've got to be mindful of that there is obviously a point where, like fish, you become a bad smell after so many days. So you've got to bear that in mind. And also arguments can then start, you kind of, fights and fallouts and also accidents that will happen in the home. You end up with something happen where you spill something, you break something, especially, if there's an object or something can accidentally fall out. One, I say accidentally, might suddenly get smashed or something. And then that's going to upset the host. And so it can end up becoming a complete disaster. So I think it's important that you, as a guest and as a host, you've got to be mindful of each other. And the idea is that we all try to work together. And I've said in the past, you've almost got to kind of imagine it's like your UN peacekeeper, when you're in someone's home. You've all got to make sure that everyone can get on, hopefully, with each other.
Yeah, it's almost a case of batten down the hatches, isn't it? And whilst, yes, we want to sort of have a good bit of either family or friends time and all get together, there is still those stresses that we talk about. And the fact that somebody will leave a wax melt on and for some reason it'll succeed in embedding itself in the living room carpet. All these things do just happen when there's more people about. It's
true. And the other bits of research that I discovered was that 63% have house rules, which I think most people have house rules, but the house rules are quite interesting. The top, I think, is smoking or vaping, 32%, so you have to go outside. I think that's kind of quite common these days. But the one that I quite like was shoes have to be removed, 19%. I'm a huge supporter in this. Now, just to be very clear, when I say shoes removed, please don't go to Buckingham Palace. I'm sure you know I'm a former butler to the royal family, and if guests took their shoes off and walked in the palace, we'd be having panic attacks because these places are big. When you talk about removing shoes, it's if you go into somebody's modest, beautiful home with a nice carpets, maybe Mrs. Bucket, you're going to go and have Christmas bucket, and she's going to have those white carpets or something, and what you don't want to do is trail muck or dirt on those carpets, and so it depends on what's on the floor. It depends on the size of the home. But I think removing shoes is a common courtesy. And you can always offer, even if you don't want to remove them, you can always say to somebody, I do it all the time. Whenever I go to someone's home, I always, not palaces or castles, I quickly add, but when I go to someone's modest home, I always say to them, would you like me to remove my shoe? But then also be careful, because what you don't want to do is then stand on something or slip in something or have some sort of accident. So you've also got to be of that mind as well.
Yeah, I mean, having wooden floors, I do not want anybody scratching them with the bits of grit that get stuck in the bottom of shoes. Shoes are off
Yeah,
in my house.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
it's not something I grew up with. My parents, we always used to walk around with shoes on. So it does vary from place to place.
Yeah.
So it's important to get the etiquette right. But when you're invited somewhere as well, it's important to make sure you RSVP promptly too, so people know what they can do and plan.
Yeah, so basically, what I've done for this Christmas is, along with Admiral, we've come up with our top tips for Christmas to keep everybody right with this, so that if you're not sure what you should be doing or the kind of how to behave, then there's a list, and you can find it on admiral.com/Christmas claims. Now, on this list, as you've just mentioned, is the RSVP, which is really important. So what we mean by that is, if a host gives you an invitation, whether it be for a lunch, a dinner, an afternoon tea, or to stay over for a day or two, make sure you respond, because isn't it the worst thing when you're trying to plan something and people don't respond, and you can't work out numbers, you can't work out beds, you can't work out food, drink, all these little things is really important. So it's important that you let them know as soon as possible. So prompt response shows you also respect them for what you're doing, and because you don't want to be known as that friend that's, oh, that's so and so, he never responds, she never responds until the last minute, because then you won't get asked. So it's important that you always respond promptly.
And we want to do things like preparing your space so that you've got the home ready to be visited. And I say that is often decluttering. Sometimes the things that you find a comfort will be in the way for everybody else.
Well, that's the thing. And again, you don't want any accidents. You want people tripping over things or falling over things, or thinking National Lampoon, how that almost all went badly wrong. So it's setting the space. It's making it an environment people are going to be comfortable in. Make sure you get your Christmas lights and your ornaments and your decorations. But I say, just make sure there's not wires lying across the floor, or extension leads going across the floor that somebody's going to accidentally trip over. It's very important. Setting the scene is important, and you want people to feel that it's Christmas. You want them to come in and feel, but don't overdo it, that it resembles, a nativity scene or Santa's grotto. The idea is that you make it festive, but not over the top.
Tinsel, not
Hopefully.
tacky. Yeah, that's the way we want it.
Exactly.
So, and it's also dressing right, bringing a thoughtful gift, and also, making sure that you work the room, and whether you're the host or the guest, talk to everybody.
Yeah, that's the thing. And the other thing, what you don't want is, when you go to someone's home, remember in the back of your mind, don't just stand in the doorway. So how many people walk into a living room, a sitting room, a drawing room, and it becomes a bottleneck. Everyone stands at the one area and nobody gets past, and there's this whole other room that just doesn't get used. So I always say, when you go in, go to the furthest point of the room, set yourself up, and at least it allows other people to come in. And also, if a good guest and a host should work the room, and what I mean by that is, go around, introduce yourself to other people, get to chat to them, and also do introductions. If there's people who don't know each other, help the host out, do some introductions. So it's about everybody it's teamwork. That's the thing. Even as a guest, you're still, especially at Christmas, it's quite good to kind of help each other out.
Yeah, and if there's somebody who's a little more shy in your party, take advantage of helping them out, and you cover that off.
Exactly.
And have them sort of
Exactly.
with you. But there's all sorts of tips online. You can find this on the Admiral website, but also you make sure you are fully insured, to ensure that any little accidents that do happen are covered.
Exactly, and do you know what? When it comes to your home, you've got to be careful. And I'll be the first to admit, I actually, as Admiral, many years ago, I actually went with Admiral, and it's been great being with them, because when something happens, they've got your back. So at Christmas, it's about keeping that at the back of your mind. Obviously, you don't want anything to go wrong, but it's just nice you've got that peace of mind at Christmas. You know, then all you've got to focus on is Santa delivering the presents and making sure your guests don't overstay their welcome.
That's the safest way of doing it. We can get your 7 etiquette tips online. Give us the web details for that again.
So it's admiral.com/Christmas claims. And on there, I believe you also get some of the research, but most importantly, you'll get the tips that Adam and myself have come up with to keep everybody right this Christmas. And I'm kind of guessing that even Santa will probably look at that list to make sure that seeing who's doing it right, who'll be on his good and naughty list, considering who's getting these rules right.
Fingers crossed that I'm not on the naughty list. I will be
Fingers
hopefully a
crossed.
perfect host and a perfect guest at some point over the festive period. Great. If we don't speak to you before, have a fantastic Christmas yourself, and we look forward to catching up in the new year.
Thank you. You too. Have a wonderful Christmas, and to your listeners.
That's a lot for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Back with episode 805 next week. I'll see you then. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar. Yeah.